What's up, everybody? Corey here. Welcome back to the channel. And if it's your first time here, then welcome to the channel. Sorry about that loud intro from the car. I'm trying to get the sound levels correct. So today we're going to have this video playing in the background of me drifting. And what I want to do is I actually want to talk about the massive difference in drifting from when I kind of stepped away from the drifting scene when it was first, very, very first popping up here in the US back in around 2003, 2004. That was kind of when I stepped away from the drifting scene and had to focus more on, working, paying bills, all that kind of stuff. All my other extracurricular activities that are also very expensive, that are not car parts and are very illegal. When I stepped out of drifting, it was completely different from what it is now. Drifting used to be a technique that was used by high-level racers on typically mountain courses, downhill, uphill tracks, whatever it may be. A lot of people attribute the big popularity and boom in popularity to Initial D, which is absolutely true. Initial D is actually what introduced drifting to me, 21 years ago, 22 years ago. I was just, I was a teenage kid. I was into racing. I've always been into cars, always been into racing. And my buddy was part of a drift team up here, which I think they're defunct, but it was Panic Mode Drifting. And my buddy Panda, Tony, he had an 8.6, and it was a little red GTS that he got from this older lady. It was an 86, 87, I believe. We paid like $350 for it, right? Such a sick little car, and immediately started building it. He had some buddies with 240s, and I never went to any other events or anything. I just drifted in parking lots. I drifted on back roads. We did like what you see on the videos of like best motoring. That is legitimately like that's what we did. That's what we watched. That was all we had. My buddy Tony and we had another buddy Red. They would on occasion get stuff imported from Japan because they were huge in the scene. Red was not into drifting. He was into anime before the whole big anime boom as well. We were kind of the forerunners of what became like the big society, I guess, obsessions. Anime was something that we were doing. Not me, except for Initial D. I still don't really do anime too much occasionally, but it's just not really my thing. I'm not really that big into TV shows. I'd rather play games. I'd rather read. It's just my thing. But that's off topic. So, best motoring was all that we had. And then going out and actually just doing it ourselves. And I had this little spot, if you're familiar with the Gresham, Portland metro area, right off of 181st and 84. There was this nice, like, it's a whole bunch of shipment warehouses. So we would go out there at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when no one was out there, and that's where we would drift. And as soon as we got, capable, a little bit more comfortable, a lot of my friends that were actually drifting were in a different scene than I was. They were going to car shows, they were actually going to drift events. Me, myself, I was doing drugs and drinking a lot, partying all the time, and I was just doing that stuff. And I would go out in cars, in the parties. I would have people that would have their cars, and they would be like, this is fucking yada yada yada, whatever it is. I'll play this video too. This is a shittier one that's a little bit older, but I would take out their cars and I would, kind of show them what their cars were more so capable of. Because a lot of people, this is a really short one. they don't fully understand that cars are capable of doing a lot more than what the average person tends to think that they can do, simply when you put someone that's somewhat capable behind the wheel. Now, I'm nowhere near an amazing driver. Am I better than average? Sure, but I've also been racing cars since, I could fucking reach the pedals. So that's not really a fair comparison. Am I anywhere close to as good as the average person that sim races or has been sim racing for a year or longer? Definitely not as good in sim racing, but in actual car racing, I would put my skills comparable to theirs, just because driving a real car is different than driving a sim. But that's, again, getting off topic. Um, you know what? We're a couple minutes in. I just got sponsored by this company called Dubby. Dubby. It is a clean energy supplement. They use coffee fruit extract for the caffeine. And it tastes amazing. So I got the Beach and Peach, which is a mango white peach cooler, and I also have a fruit punch lemon lime, which reminds me of, like, I haven't tried it yet, but I would imagine it would be like a fruit punch Sprite of sorts without the carbonation. Super excited, super awesome. There will be a link in the description if you want to check them out. Use my code Corey Havok and get 10% off. It's great. The link in the description will automatically apply that discount code. This stuff's amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I signed up for the sponsorship as just kind of like, okay, well, let's see. And then I ordered some to try it, and I tried it, and I was like, oh, this shit's actually good. I wasn't going to announce or say anything until I actually got to try some, and I'm thoroughly impressed. So definitely check it out if you're interested in a energy drink of sorts that's not pure poison. Anyways, back on topic. So drifting back then, now that we're through with the whole diatribe intro part, drifting back in the day, your goal was to get around the turn as quick as you can with a little bit of flair, right? And a lot of times when it comes to very fast, excessive driving, specifically with rear wheel and in many cases all-wheel drive cars, you're going to be able to improve your lap times by sliding a small amount on specific turns. There's certain turns that you can push the car a little bit harder than the track and the car and the race line seems to think that you can. But the only way that you can make that happen is by throwing the car a little bit sideways, letting the ass in, kind of flip out a little bit. Not enough to dramatically change your rotation or anything too crazy, but just enough to kind of kick you around that corner a little bit faster. You were still shooting for the inside lines. You weren't like these big dramatic outside lines that people do now. That's not what drifting ever was until I don't know when. But when we started drifting, the whole point was you were trying to have your nose cut the inside. If any part of your car was going to hit the wall, it was going to be your nose, because you were trying to get as close to the inside of the corner as humanly possible while sliding. Because it wasn't just about the point system of who's got the biggest angles, who's closest to the outside wall, that was important, yes, but it was the racing aspect. You were drift racing. Your whole intention, tandems, yes, but if you see an opening, you attack, you take the lead, and then that puts more points in your favor and less points on the opponent's favor. So it was still a point system in a sense, but it was much more based on speed and technique and not just the smoke show. And now don't get me wrong, drifting the drifting of today, which is what I tend to refer to as American drifting. American drifting, it looks phenomenal. It looks great. It is a fantastic, it's like a monster truck show. You know, it's a phenomenal show of finesse and ability. But it is not even close to the same as two people sliding around a turn, and that one person that's in the chase car, he sees that opening because the person in the lead car attacks just a little bit too aggressively, and he sees that opening on the inside and just cuts the inside and takes the lead. Like that is what makes drifting for me. um, that when you've got someone sliding, or you've got, you know, a chain of people, you know, three people tandeming around a turn, and you see the person in the back, he just sees the opening, he's got the line, and he just cuts down and passes, right? You've got these people that are drifting, and the chase car just cuts a tighter angle and pulls out into the lead. It does something inside my body that nothing else does. And I don't think that I can really retrain my brain to focus on constantly hitting the outside lines. Driving, racing, drifting, it has never made sense to me to shoot for the outside for the most part. There's always exceptions to the rules. Now, if you're taking, like, the turn I just took, maybe, you know, with this little section, maybe some turns you're on the outside so that you can, your next turn you're lining up for the inside. That's an exception. That's not the rule. That's more so based on the track specifics, not each individual corner, if that makes sense. You know, each individual corner, if you're looking at each individual corner as its own specific thing, then yes, you're shooting for the inside every single time, or at least you should be. When you're looking at the track as a whole, that's when you start to dissect. Some are going to be the inside, some are going to be the outside, so that you can more better hit the inside with more speed. You don't have to slow down as... There's a whole bunch of variables that go into it. If you play these games, if you're watching this video, you play racing games, more than likely you understand cars, more than likely you understand racing in general, more than likely. So all these things are things that you understand. But for some reason, not for some reason, it's pretty easily explainable when you really look at it, Americanized drifting has taken the focus completely away from the racing aspect. And not completely, because still, you know, if you're the chase car and the lead car gets too much of a lead, obviously that's going to dock your points, that's going to make you look bad. You're not going to be receiving as many points as you would have had you kept, you know, door to door, panel to panel, you know, smelling his farts every time he thinks he's got one that's going to be released. But for the most part, the racing aspect has been all but removed. And that, if I'm just out here by myself, I'm still racing. I'm still trying to drift and transition every turn and get better lap times every single time, because everything's a competition. Everything's a race. So I don't know. I really wanted to kind of talk, because I know that when I do the streams, there's a lot of people that see my drifting, and there's a very stark difference in the way that I tend to attack turns versus other people when it comes to drifting. And that's because we come from a different time. You know, we come from a different era. When I first started talking about drifting with my dad, he's like, "Oh, you mean a power slide?" And I'm like, "No. What you do in your American muscle cars," because my dad's an American muscle car head, you do power slide faint drifts of sorts. But they're not drifts. You're not throwing your car sideways before you're really into the turn. What you're doing is you hit the apex, you accelerate out, and that kind of kicks the car to the side a little bit. That's not the same. Similar, yes. Same, not even close. Which kind of doesn't make sense why I would call it similar. But regardless, I think that I want to bring back I want to bring back the classic style of drifting. And I want to get more people on this game, on racing games in general, to go back to how drifting used to be. Yeah, let's tandem. Sure. Like, yeah, let's do some fun drifts. But if you leave an opening, I'm passing you. And if I leave an opening, you should be passing me. And that's how it should be. It's, you know, there's some camaraderie when you're doing just the door-to-door tandems and the big wide turns. You know, that camaraderie of, we're not really competing with each other, we're competing with ourselves. Like, the chase car is trying to set a good line and not fuck up. The lead car is trying to set a good line and not fuck up, and the chase car is trying to follow that line and hold as close to the door, hold as close to the other car as they can. But if they start to fuck up, the chase car will tend to slow down and pull back a little bit. I say fuck that. If you're in the chase car and the person that you're racing with messes up, spins out, takes it too wide, take the lead. Take the lead and keep following through. And that's how it should be. And, you know, line up the next lap and see who does better. You know, I like the drift shootout mode, where if you have this, you're going from start to finish. You line up, one person, whoever gets it, takes lead. That is the lead car for that race to start. And then you have, you know, hot lap 2, where the lead car holds back just a little bit to let the other car have a chance to lead. If you're able to pass the lead car, then that heat's yours. Now, obviously, it's within reason. If you're not drifting, if you're just, you know, trying to hit the best lines and not throw your car sideways, obviously, those points are not going to go to you because you're just simply racing. There's a very fine knife's edge, I suppose, that would need to get walked on in order for this to be effective and work, but it used to. I mean, what do you think Toge is? Very, very, very high-level Toge, especially in rear-wheel drive cars. You're essentially drift racing down the mountain. And, like, if... I'll tell y'all some stories one of these days of, like, my crazy stuff that I used to do. But I think when I do that, I might actually go out to the locations and do a video at the location so I can really kind of show people, like, where us older heads, I guess is what people call us, old heads, where we kind of come from. Because, like, I've never once driven my car, any of my cars, ever. Well, with the exception of, like, PIR, I've driven on a racetrack, but never raced on a track, if that makes sense. Fucking Winter Wonderland, like, Christmas light show at PIR. Yeah, we drive along the racetrack to look at all the Christmas lights. They do them all up. When I went out to the big Northwest Subaru meet, you know, we were on the track for some of the, like, getting in. But that's, like, we don't drift on this. We drift. This will be the last thing. This will be the last thing I show y'all. Okay, let me see if I can pull this up. Come on, Google. So let's go to... make sure that the Windows... Google Chrome. Done. Okay, so let's look for Crown Point Vista House. So this is just an example of the roads that we would drive on. So when I was a teenager, where I went to school was that's Bell Road, Columbia River Highway. That's Curtis, Evans, maybe it's back here. So this is where I went to school. This is where I went to my advanced learning school, I guess, is what we could call it. Right here. Now, in order to get to and from school, we took a bus. We took a bus from here, and it took us all along this, Stark Street, yada, 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 over to the theater, which is like right here, right? So we would get dropped off here, and we would go and do our things. This is actually where I grew up. I moved here when I was fucking like 10 years old, and this is where I grew up. Not at the Best Western, just in Wood Village. Now, the roads that we would go and race on were these roads. All these gray lines, these are all roads that we would go out and we would race on. We would take Bluff Road and head out towards Sandy because there's a lot of roads out through here that are crazy fun. Like, look at this little logging road. Like, look at that. And these are all, like, you can go anywhere and find this stuff all through Oregon. And these were just the roads that we drove on. These were the roads that I ran from the cops on. These were the roads that we would learn to drift on. These were our street racing roads. We would be over here in Gresham, and we would hop in the car and we would drive out here, and we would just drive. And nowadays, I live over on the other side of town. So what do? I go out here. I go out to these roads. These are the roads that I'm out driving on now. And am I doing things as crazy? No. I'm older. I've got a family now. I've got people that rely on me. I've actually got something to live for. So I don't drive as crazy as I used to. But, like, these are the roads. Kansas City. That's weird. Never seen Kansas City in Oregon before. But, like, this is what we drive on in Oregon. These are some of, like, it's just insane. Like, I could sit here, you could, Oregon, right? Let's see where. Oh, right here, Willamette National Forest. Boom. Look at all those. Let's see. We'll go over here to Eastern Oregon. Look at all those. And these, you can find these, like, these kinds of roads anywhere. Let's see. Wyoming. Okay, maybe not Wyoming. Holy crap, I feel bad for y'all. What the shit? Oh, that looks fun. But, like, all over the country, there's roads like this. You just got to go out and find them. Obviously, they're not going to be as amazing as the ones in Oregon. But just go out and drive. Just simply go out and drive. You will be amazed the things that you can find if you just go out and drive. Like, look at this. Oh my God, that whole section right there. Like, those are all lumber roads. Those are all logging roads. But this one right here, NF 300. Ooh-wee. Take that. Oh my God. That looks insanely fun. take 300 all the way over to 2022, take 2022 back up. Yeah, man. Then 2024 over. Look at that. Like, I don't know. The discussion kind of started at drifting and went over into all this stuff. But like, the main thing is that drifting nowadays, it's done differently. It's not the same that it was. Now, do I have some that I think would be better or worse? Oh yeah, these are little. See, like these are roads. This is a little trip that I went on recently, just through this shit. I found out that this is not a good road. That's a dirt road. I put a video up. That's actually where I turned around and bottomed out my car because this road goes down. It's a 1-lane road. And then this is an elevated thing that goes up and then right there. So I had to like pull my car up over the elevation and it was scraping the whole way I was pulling it up so that I could turn it around and get back out. But like, I didn't know that was there. I would have taken that. Doesn't matter. Drifting's different. It's not the same. I wouldn't say it's better or it's worse. It's just different. And it's all kind of based on personal preference. My personal preference, the older style of drifting was better. It was more competitive. It was more of, I would say, more of an action sport. And I know that there's going to be people that are obsessed with the newer age drifting, that are going to humbly and gratefully disagree with me, and that's fine. That's completely okay if you disagree with me. I mean, that's what we're allowed to do. We're allowed to have our own opinions. But really, what I want to know, why are the weed stores? Maybe because they're no, that one's 4-star, huh? 4-star, weird. Um, yeah, people are gonna say that the new style of drifting is better, and if that's your opinion, then fuck, dude, more power to you. It is what it is, you know? We're allowed to have differing opinions, we're allowed to think different things. I personally don't like the new style of drifting as much as the old style. Not that I dislike the new style, I just think that it's different, and it's not really for me. So I'm gonna keep attacking the inside. I'm gonna keep trying to get as much angle while going as fast as I can, cutting those insides, dipping the front tires into the dirt when I need to, and y'all keep drifting your way. But if you are interested in taking drifting back to its roots, then I guess subscribe, and we'll make this movement. We are going to make drifting great again. Anyways, I'm out. I hope y'all have a good one. Catch me live streaming here in a little bit. Probably, I don't know. Here in a little bit, I'll be live streaming. Let's go drift. Let's have some fun. Peace out.